What's next for planet Earth? And I call this a current assessment of those 10 trends I just showed you up on my marker board of Christ's coming based on Matthew 24's expansion in Revelation 6 and onward. Now remember, Revelation, and see, context is so important. The book of Revelation was written to a group of churches at the epicenter of the Roman Empire. Now look over here, do you remember my Roman Empire map? And I told you that right here is Rome, right here is the island of Patmos. Here are the 7 churches. This was the Roman Empire that arrayed all of its forces against the Judean revolt, the Jewish wars, and that's the context for the book of Revelation. Now, back to the slides. The book of Revelation was written from Patmos to these 7 churches. But the bigger story is they were right in the center of the most difficult part of the Roman Empire to live. And God said, I'm going to show you how to live for me in an ever-darkening world. Do you see why Revelation has always been loved? It's applicable in every generation. Now, it's specifically when Jesus ascended to heaven after the cross, there's a first-generation church, then most of the apostolic missionary journeys are over, and the second-generation church goes through, and they had all of the New Testament, except for the few epistles that hadn't been written by John, especially Revelation. When Jesus comes back to visit, and he tells them, he gives them a report card on how they're doing, living for God in this darkening world. Well, this is what Jesus says. There's a coming global panic attack. That's in Luke 21. Now, if you were looking out your window and saw this flaming car, a car bomb, and you saw that going on, it probably would be a little disheartening. Well, look what it says in Luke 21. Here, I have the verses for you. Starting in verse 26 here. Men's hearts will fail them from fear and the expectation of those things which are coming on the earth. For the powers of heaven will be shaken. That's not all. Look what it says right here in verse 11. There will be great earthquakes. There will be famines, pestilences. Think COVID. Fearful sights, great signs from heaven. Signs in the sun, like solar flares. In the moon, like we just had the supermoon tides. And one place where Bonnie and I teach regularly, I've never seen the water right up to the road. And it wasn't a storm, it was just the tide. And in the stars. But look at this. On the earth, distress of nations, boy, we have that today. Perplexity, what to do. And look, even the weather, the sea and the waves are roaring. Now this chart here, do you see this nice line? This is what investment people always show you. If you invest with them, that's what it'll look like. You know, get bigger and bigger, bigger. This is the earth's troubles, disasters, cyclones, wildfires, storms in the winter, storms that are severe, flooding, freeze, drought, cyclones and hurricanes. Did you know that from 1980, the last 40 years, they've only been ascending? Wow, that's troubling. Well, God gives specific trends for the end of the world. We already read these in Matthew 24:8, and he expands it in verses 30 to 34, but then he illustrates it in the book of Revelation. Actually, Matthew 24 is the outline for Revelation 6 to 19. And this is what I mean. Revelation expands and illustrates what Jesus taught. Now, look up for a second. I want you to think about something. Next time you read Matthew 24, think about, when was Jesus giving this message? He's headed to the cross. He goes right from giving this message to the Last Supper to being captured and to be cruelly treated and scourged and mocked and put a crown of thorns on his head and then crucified. Why was Jesus talking about the rapture and the tribulation and all the horrors when it's his last few hours with his disciples? Because he wants us to be confident. Look at this. Revelation is the map of the future God gave us because he wants us to understand what's happening in the future.